What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? AZD with you real quick with another video. Now, in this video, I want to talk about some things because recently, over the last week or two, I've been auditing my life. And what auditing my life is, looking at my life, looking at different things I've been doing and trying to, revamp things, look at things if I'm doing things the right way or not, or correcting things, replanning things. But in this video, I want to talk about some mistakes I wish I avoided as an entrepreneur. Because while I did some audit, I was looking at some things like some notes or some journals. I'm looking at some things like, oh man, some of these things I shouldn't have did. Well, I know better now. So one of the mistakes that I wish I avoided as an entrepreneur was to, when I became an entrepreneur, I was overusing my personal capital. So I was overusing my personal capital, my personal credit to fund my business in terms of research, in terms of marketing, in terms of product, a variety of things that I was doing, education, things like that. So I was overusing my personal capital, and I should have been setting a limit on how much I was using out of my personal capital. I should have also been setting a limit on how much I took out of my retirement account in order to put into my business, because I wasn't aware of how you can get business funding and business credit in order to fund your venture, in order to fund research, marketing, product development, all those things that a business is required. I was using my personal debit, my personal credit, my personal retirement account, taking money out of retirement account, and I wasn't setting any limit. I was using, a lot of my savings in order to fund the business, instead of using business credit or business funding in order to have my business grow. So some things that I've learned though is that I really didn't have to use my personal credit, even though I thought, okay, well, that's the best way that I could do it. I could have been developing my business credit, which I'm working on right now, is learning how to develop my business credit so I can have business funding instead of using my personal credit, my personal capital, instead of going into my retirement account and taking money out of my retirement account to go towards my business. Now I have more of a better idea of, okay, you can set up your business a certain way, make sure it's structured a certain way, make sure your business address is correct, set up a banking account, make sure that everything is legit and proper, structured the right way, so I'll be able to get some business funding instead of using my own personal capital. So that's a mistake that I made as an entrepreneur, and I hope you got some value out of this. Let me know what some of the mistakes that you probably made, whether as a worker, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, as an investment businessman or woman, as an investor, whichever way you're going about building wealth and finance and growing your finances and learning more about finances. So another thing that I know that I made a mistake, and I wish I would have known this before I became an entrepreneur, because this mistake I wish I also avoided as an entrepreneur, and that's burning through capital and credit, capital that you put up forward for research, development, marketing, learning different ways of running your business. Those capital, you have to be mindful of how you're running through it, because you can use it up fast, and if your business is not creating revenue and you're putting investment into it and you're not getting the proper ROI, return on your investment, then you're going to end up losing on your business. So your business is going to end up failing. So like I said, another mistake to avoid is burning through capital. Trying to find a way to budget your capital as you go about developing your business. So instead of using your own capital, we're going to start working on developing our business, structuring our business the right way. And I hope y'all come along this journey with me, because basically I'm going to be doing it from square one. I have an idea of how to do it. I've been doing some research and development on how to structure my business in order to get funding, and I'm going to go ahead and structure my business. I already have my correct address, I already have my business account, and I'm going to be getting on here and talk to you guys about how I was going about developing, how I started the LLC, how I created the LLC, the right way of getting the right address, and getting the proper funding. So like I said, if you're an entrepreneur, and even as an investor, because even if you're as an investor or a trader, there's way out there that you can get money outside of your own personal capital, outside of your own personal credit, to go ahead and fund your trading or your investment portfolio. So one thing I've really learned though is I really have to separate the two. Like if you create an LLC, the reason for having an LLC is because it's a limited liability company. So you want to separate the two between the business and the personal. That's a big thing that that a lot of us has learned, that I've learned, is to separate the two, because you don't want to do what they call what is it called? Oh, what's my mind going blank right now? Corporate veil. You don't want to corporate veil. You want to pierce the corporate veil, meaning that you're intermingling your personal portfolio, personal assets, along with your business portfolio, business assets. You have to separate the two, and that's one of the things I've learned. If I'm conducting business, instead of using my own personal money, my own personal capital, find a way to get some business funding, develop some business funding, so I can get business credit, business funding, some type of way to use business in order to, some kind of way to use business credit, business funding, in order to fund my business and operate my business instead of coming out of pocket, instead of using my own capital. So once again, it's AZD. Hope you got some value out of this. I'm going to be coming on here dropping some more jewels and gems that I've learned, that I'm going through, and hope you come along with this experience. Right now it's snowing where I'm at, so that's probably why you hear the windshield wiper. Sorry for the noise. But some mistakes that I wish I avoided as an entrepreneur was, like I said, one was overuse of personal credit, personal capital, personal debit. You know, even if you married and use your partner's credit cards or stuff like that, try to avoid that. Try to build up your business credit by structuring your business the right way. And then another mistake that I wish I could have avoided as an entrepreneur was burning through capital, because I was burning through basically my own personal capital in order to fund my business. And there's other things too that I wish I avoided. I'm probably gonna come back and do another video, maybe a part 2 and 3, on mistakes I wish I avoided as an entrepreneur. So we're gonna make this as part 1. First mistake was overusing a personal capital, personal credit, personal debit, personal capital. And mistake I wish I avoided, number 2, was burning through capital once it was my own personal capital, but having my own capital and burning through it for marketing, promotion, instead of like really structuring a business plan and then allocating the funds towards what I needed for. So burning through the capital, then I had to end up using my own capital, which includes using my own personal credit and credit cards, etc., etc. So lesson learned: if you're out there, if you're being an entrepreneur or business, avoid these mistakes. Overuse of personal capital credit and burning through capital credit when you have it. You don't want to burn through it too fast. I know we're trying to get to that right money, and that's another thing too. When we start a business, we be overwhelmed, or we project our outcome to be like out there too much. You know, sometimes you want to say, oh, I want to earn $100,000 a month, when most likely it's not going to happen. So once again, it's AZD. Hope you got some value out of this. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. These are some mistakes that I wish I avoided as an entrepreneur. I hope you got some value, and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.